before we start this video, people were asking for a Monty update. He's just been chilling, he's been vibing, life has been hectic recently, and he's just been loving it. I have a lot of, like, obstacles set up around my room now. I got a bunch of cat tunnels, and he absolutely loves them, so he also loves my allegedly blanket. Like, no promo in this bitch, but I mean, like, it's a really soft blanket, and he loves it. But look at him, he's doing really good. He's so cute. Oh my god. He's getting a big boy now, isn't he? I think he's like 15 weeks now or something. Like 15 and a half or something. Oh my god. I've had him for over a week now. He's doing super good though. Thanks for asking, everyone. Okay, on with the video. Hi my Trishies Fishies! Welcome back to today's video, and today we are going to be following up from my video I posted yesterday on Shane Dawson and having an open discussion on what is next. Now, there is a lot to talk about, and there's a lot to talk about within Ryland and Shane, but also Shane and just the dynamic and the future and what he promised and what he didn't promise and what he said was going to happen and what didn't happen, the live stream and just everything. So, before we get into that, the thing we have to preface again is what he posted on his Instagram story. Now, this was really his breaking his silence moment, right? We talked about how it was his first time since the Instagram live, you know, the she's a fucking you know, that Instagram live by Shane. It's the first time since that we've really seen him. So, it was quite a shock to a lot of people, including me, because I didn't think he was going to come back this soon, one, and I didn't think he was going to come back and not address at least the backlash, you know what I mean? Or at least the silence. He kind of did the opposite and was like, did a Tana Mojo. Let's be real. He did a Tana Mojo. He said, there will be more to come. That's a very Tana Mojo thing to do these days. Especially following on from Tana Mojo of the past couple of months. You know, where she's promised all these things she was never going to do. She promised the apology video. It came months later. Then she promised she was going to do a video on the backlash of the apology video. And bitch, we're still waiting.
Allegedly.
So, Shane seemingly is taking the same route as Tana in just promising, and we'll see if it happens. Do y'all think it's going to happen? That's what we're going to talk about. But really quickly, we're going to go through the Instagram story again he posted yesterday because it's important to the open conversation that we're going to have in this video. Little operatic moment there. I wasn't planning on coming back to the internet for a while, but today is a special day to my best friend, and I want to be there for him the way he's always been there for me. Now, again, I got a lot of comments from people being like, I don't know why he had to do this publicly. Like, this is his breaking his silence moment. This is a big moment. And he was basically not addressing anything, and people think this was just his way of getting more attention to Ryland's show in case, you know, it flopped so that there was an audience, you know, built in from Shane who would see it. I mean, it's all possible things that could have been there. In my opinion, it wasn't the right thing for him to come back on his Instagram story and completely not be like, okay, here's the truth. Right? This was the one that got people talking. I have so much I want to say, and I promise in the future I will, but today I want to talk about Ryland. Again, a lot of people were commenting on my video, basically being like, bitch, they live in the same house, they can talk. But again, everyone was saying that there's a very calculated move here from Shane, which again, Shane is a very smart person, whether we want to say it or not. There's calculation involved here, and there's also a team involved. So they know that if they can trickle, you know, little things here and there on social media, they can see the reaction. If the reaction's good, great. If it's not, we'll wait a little longer. You know what? There's been a period between Morgan talking about Shane in his video and Ryland talking about Shane in the video than now. So there's already things been happening, right? Then something else will happen, like a couple months later. Sprinkling some more. Couple weeks of silence. Sprinkle some more. You know, it's easing people into the idea of being like, oh, Shane was really here the entire time, you know what I mean? Because they're so used to seeing him again. But the difference with this is a lot of people are noticing that he's back, and it's quite jarring to a lot of people. And here's a conversation that I'm so fixated on. Shane and Jeffree were being called out for a lot this summer. Both of the sections that they were being called out for, as in both people, very damaging stuff. Yet Jeffree ignored it, didn't do any Instagram lives, didn't do any tweets, didn't acknowledge Taddy's video until he did his apology, doing what's right video. I always have to pose. And then silence again, he was posting on social media, and then seemingly he's just been able to come back from that. Recently we've talked about a drama on my channel with Jeffree Star and his boyfriend and allegedly being robbed, and then an insider article on Jeffree came out, so people then think that the drama with the boyfriend was just masking the drama of the insider article because people obviously on Jeffree's team don't want this insider article blowing up. My friend Kat wrote it, and it's an explosive and really sad article, and I would really advise you to go read it. But again, it's hard to talk about the things that were in that. It's very triggering, and also just putting that on YouTube it's a very hard thing to do. But everyone does believe that the drama with the boyfriend was manufactured to distract away from that article. But then it just poses the question that Jeffree was able to go back into normal life again, releasing a palette. It wasn't that successful, you know what I mean?
Allegedly.
The Ogre palette, it didn't go down that well, but he was still able to come back to business as usual. He's been trending on Twitter a lot recently. It has been through money giveaways, but still, he's been trending, and people have seemingly taken to Jeffree Star again, which is a wild concept for me because everyone was so strong against him a couple months ago. Now he says he's going to give money out on PayPal and everyone's, you know, jumping to it, or Cash App, sorry. I think my morals after learning about stuff I learned about this summer kind of make me want to, you know, stick with my beliefs and what I think of him as a person. And again, with Shane and Jeffree, I think most of us saw things this summer from them we haven't seen before. So that's a big factor. But Shane took a completely different approach from Jeffree. If you look at it logistically, Jeffree went on a silence, didn't back up Shane until the last very moment. So a lot of people had already signed out of the drama. So Jeffree had already escaped that initial backlash. The thing Shane Dawson did was in the peak of the backlash, and including Taddy's video, he went on an Instagram live in real time, the biggest day of the drama. Keep in mind, her video was posted the biggest traction day around this, kind of the 3 days after she posted it as well. There was a lot of attention on Shane, and a lot of negative attention, but he put it on himself. So more people were aware of Shane than almost Taddy's video. Because if people think back to summer, they're like, oh my god, Shane's Instagram live. More so than Taddy's Breaking My Silence video. Her video really didn't go down that well, but it was still just kind of put on the back burner because of what Shane did. Because Jeffree was silent, people can be like, oh my god, Jeffree responding and being so angry. They're like, Jeffree posted a video, didn't he? Yeah, and then... yeah, his video was shit too. His video was disgusting. He deflected onto the Black Lives Matter movement to distract from himself and his own disgusting actions, then turned it in an infomercial for his makeup line that was coming out this summer that ended up flopping.
Allegedly.
The Ogre palette did not sell out, but you know what I mean? Because Shane set himself up like that, to almost people saw him in his worst state, people remember that. So whenever people are seeing him now, and especially in Ryland's Instagram post, remember Ryland posted a video that, sorry, I know I'm rambling, but there's a lot to talk about. Remember Ryland promoted a video that was with Shane on his Instagram, and everyone was commenting negative things, being like, you reminded me to unfollow, I'm unfollowing, oh, we don't want to see him and all, because people's last memory is the Instagram live and him being so explosive online. And then from Shane doing that, a lot of people were like, why is he so angry? So not only were people fully grasping the concept that maybe Shane was involved in the Bye Sister video and the production of it, they were also seeing his inappropriate, disgusting, repulsive behavior that we all saw during summer. It was being reposted on many different platforms, so then people were seeing both that, so people obviously just don't have a good picture of Shane. So it's weird to introduce him back so suddenly, because Jeffree was able to, because people didn't have a negative perception of him. In terms of the summer drama, I mean. As a person, people have horrible perception of Jeffree, but it's a realistic one, if we're honest. So now if you kind of understand where I'm coming from in these videos, let's move on. Sorry for the tangent. He said he's been my rock and my best friend since the day I met him. Okay, so a bunch of pictures. He's always been there for me and helped me to be more kind to myself, which is something I've struggled with recently. And now people have just been, again, like, it's almost like he's treating this like it was everyone against him. And while it was for a reason. That's where people were making an issue. He let me do this to him. I'm so grateful to have him as family and as a partner in life. When I met him, his dream in life was to have a talk show, blah, 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 blah. He got the talk show, yay. I watched him work so hard, he was born to do this. I've watched him grow as a person, blah, blah, blah. Today he starts a new chapter, blah, 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 and his co-host. He also told me not to do this and that he doesn't want me coming back to the internet until I'm ready. And a lot of people were actually saying that they genuinely think Shane should have listened to Ryland, and Ryland probably had his best interest here, because Ryland has been getting most of the backlash recently because Shane hasn't been at the forefront, so it's Ryland who gets it. So I can see where Ryland was coming from here. I told him there's nothing I'd rather do than be here for him today. This was the one that really put people off. Hi, I probably won't be back for a while, but I just want to say hi and support my man. Hope you guys are having a good day. So people were saying that it seems like he was treating this, you know, like a vacation, like coming back and smiling and being like, oh my god, I'm back for my break. And obviously that's not what it is. Smith family haven't got their apology. A lot of people who've came forward and basically said the content has offended them, or you know, triggered them. They haven't got an explanation, even if you don't want to give an apology, an explanation. So there's just a lot of unanswered stuff, right? So now I want to have an open conversation with all of you, and you've got to listen to some of these responses. So I said in my YouTube community, following on from the topic of my new Shane video that I just posted, I have a conversation I want to have with all of you. 1. Do you believe Shane is being so silent right now against drama and drama channels because Ryland used to be one, working with Clever News, and Ryland used to also cover Shane news on there? Number 2, do you believe Shane will feature in Ryland's show, and maybe this is why he's, you know, there's a lot I want to say and it's like not coming out. Is Shane kind of ruining his reputation a little bit more and promoting this show because he's going to be on it and address things on that? You know what I mean? Do you believe Ryland having this show will allow him to successfully ease away from the constant uploading videos on YouTube and then being torn apart looking for Shane or tea from the audience? The next one was, Shane says he will come back and talk about everything. Do you believe he will? What do you think his next move will be? And the last one, do you believe Shane is testing the waters instead of actually congratulating Ryland or being genuine? So, let's talk. You can kind of have your own opinions and write them below and I'll make sure to read them. So, Jung said Shane's post about his possible return made it seem like we would all be wanting him to do it. If you read it back, it has a really weird, don't worry guys, I know you want me back, but I can't right now. Feel bad for me kind of energy to it. Sam said, I wouldn't be surprised if he documented the entire thing, turning it into one of the cancelled influencer docuseries. Soccer said Shane will come back and he will always have a fan base, like Jelly Starfish. I still don't get why Taddy is the one who is silent right now while these two beauty gurus are being the mastermind. Taddy seemingly is going down a legal route though, so that kind of makes more sense. Mike said he has to know that to overcome a cancellation you have to become silent and irrelevant first. Either way, Ryland has been vocal against drama and drama channels that I doubt Shane would hold back either. Maybe not in the beginning, but if there's a talk show, I don't think Shane will talk in the show. Maybe not at the beginning. If the talk show reaches moderate success, maybe Shane will go on there and talk about being cancelled and all of that stuff. In regards to Ryland doing a show rather than being on YouTube, it's more like he's just using it to get an audience. He has to know that people will watch a talk show to hear about Shane, so he's riding the hype, or anti-hype in this case, wave from Shane being cancelled and silent. If he really wanted to congratulate Ryland, he would not have posted anything, since Ryland told him to, maybe not to connect his show with Shane. Now that's a very important point too. The show's opening is now going to be attached to Shane. People are going to assume Shane will be involved. Or at least post a selfie with him and Ryland. Why would you congratulate someone that you live with by posting a selfie of only yourself? Ellie said everything Shane does is extremely calculated. He's a lot like Jeffree in that respect, but things backfire on him more often than they do with Jeffree. I fully believe this is him trying to test the waters and using Ryland's announcement in the process. I'm not a fan of Ryland's by any means, but it's hard to see this as any other way of Shane selfishly exploiting his fiance's good news as a test run. While it's possible he felt he would be called out for not saying anything in support of Ryland, I'm reluctant to even give him that benefit of a doubt. I fully believe Ryland will try to have Shane on the show at some point, either to talk about superficial wedding planning or to have a tell-all moment. It makes a lot of sense, especially if Andrew isn't around anymore. Which is very important because Andrew is allegedly out of the picture too. Fuel Addiction said, I think Shane will come back on Ryland's podcast to explain his action. Bella said, Ryland will definitely have Shane on his show and try to use that to recover his image. Now if you think about it, not only will Shane try to recover his image, Ryland will also get the views and money from it. So, as a couple, it's a win-win. Right? Circlin said if Shane doesn't go on Ryland's new show, then it's going to flop. I'm sure a good chunk of people will watch the first few episodes just to see if Shane is mentioned anywhere. I'm not trying to say Ryland doesn't have a fan base of his own, but let's be real. Ryland knows how to get clicks and he knows Shane gets them. It's a win-win scenario for both of them if Shane is on the show. Shane gets a chance to clear his name and Ryland gets more free PR for his show. Autumn said, I do think that Shane will be on Ryland's podcast at some point, and I think Shane used it to test the waters because it's the perfect excuse to. Jessica said, I think Ryland started his podcast with a thought in his mind that he could maybe have exclusive interviews and chats with Shane. Possibly Shane's comeback on Ryland's podcast, or completely have an exclusive content concerning Shane's past on Ryland's podcast that will also be about his comeback. It wouldn't shock me. Again, more ratings and more money. And finally, Caitlyn said, though Shane's post was definitely a little bit of a tester, I also do believe that he wanted to congratulate Ryland. I don't want an apology from Shane, I want a detailed explanation. I want to know what he was thinking during the summer drama and why he did what he did. Ryland is a complete other story though. I honestly hope this is giving him some relief from it all. However, I don't want Shane on the show, and I don't think he would want him on it either. I mean, he didn't want Shane to post these Instagram stories. The only thing we can do is wait and see, which is pretty typical of Shane at this point. On brand. Again, the Tana Mojo approach. So, guys, I just want to have that conversation with you below. Do you think Shane will go on this show? How do you think Shane will come back again? And what do you think his plan is? And do you think Ryland will throw little, you know, hints of Shane here and there to get more views? Again, he's allowed to do that. Drama channels can do it. He can do it. Let's have that conversation below. It's gonna be a juicy one. Mariah, you good? I love you, and I will see you in my next video, and it's been good talking to you. I actually, like, rambled a lot in this video, and it was nice just to, like, talk and know that someone was gonna listen. So if you're here to this level, I mean this point in the video, I fuck with you. Hard. Okay. Bye.